Okay, so today on the Black Country History Hunter, we're going to be looking into the quarries at the Barrow Bank Quarry. The quarries are old, you know, they've been around since day dot, I think. But the area I'm looking at today is going to be just inside the quarry and the house that was built in the 1820s, which I think housed the manager. I think what happened was they dug out the pit, they dug out the quarry, and this is the slag. And then so the mine owner could look at the mine being worked and make sure everything was correct. They built the house on top of there. So I'll be up there later. You can see it here on a map. But yeah, the quarry itself, the reason it's there is, I think 300 million years ago, during the Carboniferous period, there was a volcano. They call it the Dudley volcano, but I think it's the Pensnet volcano. And it was like above my head, it would have been 1,000 meters high. And over the years, it's weathered away over the last 300 million years to reveal just the plug, which is the dolerite basalt plug, which is used for anything to do with roadworks, you know, so hardcore and also decorative. So during the 1830s and 40s, they used it for the roads. So you can see along the side of the roads on the Pensnet Road and the Dudley Road. It's also underneath the Dudley Road as a hardcore. So they were quite fond of it at the time. Right, this is some of the machinery they would have used to pull the stone out during the 1920s, which is the third phase, I think, of the quarrying. They had an aerial ropeway at the back there. I'll have a look at that with you in a minute. Right, just a quick look at the ropeway entrance itself. So the quarry itself is 30 metres that way in the house. They would have brought the rubbish and the slag this way in the 1920s. This is a slag heap here. You can see the shape. It goes up and over, up and over, up and over. So it was radiating lines, as you can see on the map. And at the end of one of those radiating lines, they put this ropeway in order to take quarried slag to a place far away in Russell's or somewhere to do something with it. There was another process they were using it for. What? I don't know. Yeah, so we're walking along the inside of the quarry now. This would have been the 1920s workings. Before this, it ended about 40 metres that way, 30 metres that way, which would have been the original 1830s, 40s diggings. So obviously as the technology improved, they could get a lot more out. So yeah, this was all kind of primeval forest back 300 million years ago, apart from the volcano. A few 100 metres away at Tansy Green, there is a petrified forest, which is Carboniferous period, which what happened was the ash from the volcano would have settled over many years, maybe even days, depending on the eruption, and basically just entombed the forest. And what we've got left is stumps where they've quarried it out. They've found the stumps, not this quarry, there's a quarry over there for sandstone or sand. And they've literally quarried it all away, and they found this forest, you know, which is of real interest to the world. Here we are now in the core of the original quarry. So this is 1830s, 40s dating. And the house is just above us there, well it would have been. This here would have been a road actually. There was a path along here and there was a building on top of this above us. That's all gone now. The original road cut through, which you can see here, Dudley. It cut through the church from Dudley through to Gornal. So the church wasn't there. When they put the church in, the road kind of turned into a path past the church, and they had to divert the road past the church. But there you go, quite beautiful actually. So yeah, so originally the road was an old road. I think it's predating 1800s, because I found a 1799 coin. So the road that passed the house and past the quarry did predate the house, and it did predate the quarry in many ways, I think. So the quarry was born and the house was put in to look after it. Look at that. So I'll have a look around, see what I can't find. So yeah, it was a volcano. The volcano disappeared. The rock remained. We dug out the rock. And here we are. A big hole in the ground. Right, at the top of the hill I've come across a little hole that's been dug, and you can see whoever's kicked the hole out has kicked these out as well. So this is an old, maybe 20s 1900 turn of the century jam jar. We were a very throwaway society, you know. The house is 1830s, but I dare say any of this is that old. Bit of blue and white there. It's not an old piece of pot, but yeah. So, yep, and there's another piece of glass. So the house was derelict in the 20s. Why? I don't know. I think it was just inaccessible and no running water, I imagine. The nearest house to this is the Vicar's, just behind there, which is connected to the road through Vicarage Lane. But yeah, here we are. Okay, so I'll set up now and I'll start having a look. There's got to be stuff here because this house is 1820s and there is a house here. I mean, you should see it in a minute. There we go. Not a house exactly yet, but there are the bricks. And I'll just come here. Okay. Okay. Somebody's been cutting trees up here and having fires by the looks of it. But it's cleared it because there was a tree fell there. You can see here there's some more of the building. Looks like some sort of sewer. Yeah, some sort of sewer. Okay, that would have been the pantry. By the looks of it, it's slightly lower, which makes it slightly cooler. It's built into the bank, again makes it slightly cooler. So before refrigeration, all the housewife had really was a pantry. A small cold room where they keep dairy, anything that could spoil. The path ran down there to a greenhouse on this top area. This is all slag that's come out the quarry. And I'll just show you now exactly how the quarry owner was looking out over his quarrymen. If he was the owner or if he was the actual manager, I don't actually know. All I know is he had a good eye on them, because this was the original workings there. As you can see, I'm on the edge here. Okay, so that come out easy enough. It's just started to snow, but it's not going to stop me. Okay, so you're looking at me with this for the first time. I think, yeah. Okay, so there's a screw there, kind of a thread, which has been snapped off. So basically, this came off a horse harness. So when the quarry was working, I imagine the road used to run up this way. So at some point the gentleman's come up with his horse harness, you know, his big wagon on the back. This would have sat on the side at somewhere and the rain would have run through it to guide the rope or the rain or the chain even. But it's decorative because it's brass, so it would have been polished, highly polished. You know, they took a lot of pride, excuse my face, they took a lot of pride in the horses. Yeah, and you can see the amount of weight them pulling because it's bent it. And at some point it snapped off, landed on the floor, and just been pushed into the leaf litter and destroyed, you know, left. So yeah, and now I found it. So yeah, it's a Victorian or earlier horse harness rain runner. Maybe made locally. Okay, so the path that ran from the house actually ran past here, and you can see where they've done some little bit of garden decoration there. They've used some of the stone from the quarry to make this little wall, and the bluebells are still there. I mean, the bluebells are a sign of ancient woodland, but because they spread underground root system. So if you see a forest full of bluebells, I mean absolutely packed with bluebells, it's probably ancient woodland. Okay, this I love. I mean, this is the sort of stuff I'm looking for, really. I mean, gold and silver is all well and good. You know, obviously it's great to find gold, but this really does it for me. So that there, you obviously know what that is. I don't have to tell you that. For them who can't actually see it properly, it's a thimble. So basically, for all the kids who don't know what thimbles are, would sit on the finger, and when a woman was sewing, she would stop her from pricking her finger when coming through with the needle. So yeah, so I can imagine this was the garden area. It's a different soil type there. It's quite grainy and quite rocky, you know, kind of scree, kind of sandstony. So I imagine this is all slag, obviously, so it wouldn't have been very good to grow in. But I was expecting topsoil, but it went straight into stony ground, and that was in there. So she's been sitting up there on a sunny day like today. You know, maybe the woman that owned the house, maybe the servant has been mending or darning socks, and she's dropped a thimble, you know. So the last person to put that on her finger, or his finger if he was a modern man, was he's been long dead now, and he was sitting on this bank where I am today a couple of 100 years ago maybe, with all his worries and or her worries and her loves and losses. And there it is, a little link to the past. Okay, so that's nice. Don't know if you can focus in on that. It's Victoria old head penny. So it kind of ties in with the house. The house is much earlier than this. Victoria came in 1936. Sorry, 1836 to William V. Yeah, short reigns before her. Obviously the four Georges and the William. I think we'll have a William next actually, instead of a Charles. But yeah, lovely find. It's a Victorian old head, which is the head when she's in mourning. After Albert's died, she just went into black and never came out again. Often the way. But yeah, 1900, so 20 years before the house was knocked down, whoever was living here dropped that coin, and I've just found it. Right, I just spotted this one again. I mean, every brick's got a thumbprint in it. I just love the idea of the connection to the past. I mean, I'm putting my thumb in there now, and I'm like, it's like shaking his hand in it. You know, this guy's dead. He picked that brick up from the factory floor, put it onto a pallet to go into the kiln, and it got picked up by a bricklayer who's also dead now, and put into this wall until it was knocked down again. And I've always wanted to find a fingerprint in there, but it's never quite. It's always too coarse to get fingerprints. You need a finer clay. I'll stop looking. Wow. Wow. Okay, now I weren't expecting that. Without even taking the root out of it. That's a stop, that's a clock, that's a timepiece, a pocket watch. Okay, obviously the workings are gone. It could be silver, it could still even be gold. The gold doesn't tarnish, but it does get dirty. I'm going to give it a little rub on the top there. You can see. Okay, I think all the workings are gone. Wow. It just shows, you know. You get a site like this and you'd come through walking with the dogs and you'd see all the bricks and you think, nah, it's just rubble. But this house stood for 1830s to 1920s, 100 years, over 100 years. At a time when people were buying things, especially rich people like this. You know, these guys owned mines. They were rich men. So they didn't want for anything, and this area here is still the garden. I mean, the wall would have stood here, you know, where I actually am. You can see there's a lot of bricks. But there was a small amount of garden there. And no doubt he's been walking home one day, he's pulled his pocket watch out from his Albert chain and it fell on the floor and just been forgotten about. It's a pity it wasn't complete. Looking at it, I think it's silver plate. But I don't know. I will check when I get home if it's silver or not, and I'll give you a sit rep. But yeah, pocket watch. There's more there, so I'll have another little look actually. You never know. Could be a little cache. Okay, so that's just come out. So it's a little child's ring. It's not gold or silver. It's you know, rolled gold if anything. Age, I couldn't tell. It could be Edwardian. It's definitely 1920s thereabouts, because I don't see a little child coming up here wearing this and dropping it, you know, after 1920s. So I'm sure it's the little girl that lived in the house. Absolutely amazing that, you know, somebody came out into this little garden with this little ring on, maybe on the way to church. Maybe she was done for church and playing around, maybe slipped off a finger. I bet she got a few lines for that. You know, where's your ring gone? I don't know, mummy. I've got it. All those years later, I bet she's long dead. Oh well, there it is, little girl. If you want it back, come and give me a knock.